Hello once again, and welcome to another edition of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. I am your host, as always, the mouth of Michigan, Ron Mendeger. With me, as always, my co-host, the Merc Mike Merkel.
I'm here.
Missing in action today is the man, Kyle Budzanowski. He's recuperating from that heart-palpitating win, Michigan over Army, 24-21. We're going to talk about Michigan and Michigan State, their respective performances in the first half of this episode, and determine why everybody hates Jim Harbaugh now after that performance. And then we're also going to go in the second half of the show, we're going to go to the NFL contract extension bonanza, what I like to call. Jared Goff, we got Ezekiel Elliott, we've got Tyreek Hill, lots of big names getting paid major money. We're going to talk Packers-Bears a little bit and what it means for our Detroit Lions. And we're going to talk Chris Jericho winning the AEW championship, what that means for him, and some other things that go along with it. Lots of great stuff this week, guys. We're going to talk Antonio Brown's debacle next week on the show. We're not going to talk about the Lions, obviously, right now, because as of this recording, they haven't played yet. So I have yet to give a reason to be mad. So until that happens, or be happy, right? Fingers crossed. So obviously we will talk about that next week and go from there and see what we liked and didn't like. But let's jump right into it, Mike. Michigan football first. I guess we'll just do a little bit of pros and cons here. What performance was let's start with Michigan. This performance, better or worse than last week? I say that most ironic.
Okay, here's the thing though. Like with Army is... it's almost like not a fair game because they play so different.
Army is the one team that matches up weird.
Yeah, because
the weirdest team
because they do their own thing and they're not reliant on what you do. Like they don't change how they play at all.
They didn't throw a pass, I don't think, until like 6 minutes left in the second quarter.
No, they didn't throw one the whole first half.
Yeah. Well, they didn't. I thought they had one in the first.
Oh no, they had
scored on that drive.
No, because they had 0 passing yards in the first half.
No, I mean, remember it was the holding on.
Right. But yeah, like they just it's like so hard. It's like not your conventional
and they go
team.
for it on fourth down too. Yeah. They don't ever kick field goals ever, unless they
obviously
have to.
You can tell because they miss for 3 on field goals.
They don't kick field goals. They go for it on fourth down. So they and I think Dan Dierdorf made a great point about it on the radio broadcast where he was like, if they get 4 yards on first down, that's exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Because they have 3 more downs now to get 6 yards.
Yeah.
On this triple option read thing.
So and then they hold the ball for 35 minutes a drive.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're limited to drives now.
Right.
So I think even though they play so bad and turning the ball over, it's almost like hard to say. Well, it's not your when they play Wisconsin, when they play these teams, that's not going to be the case. Wisconsin's going to play like Mid-Tennessee did, so that's more of the comparison. Mm-hmm. Army's like that weird team when you're like, I don't know what they're... I mean, you know exactly what they're going to do. It's like, there's really no way to stop it. You just have to hope you're there and beat them at the end.
No, for sure. Obviously, the turnovers, I think, is the biggest point of emphasis that everyone's going to look at. Do you feel, though, that outside of that, which is clearly sloppy, it's indicative of sloppy play, right? Do you feel, though, that like this team was unprepared for Army? Do you feel like there was a obvious lack of like emphasis put on this game and they kind of came in thinking they were just going to roll?
No, I think defensively they came prepared, even though it didn't look like it because they were averaging 5 yards a carry.
They only scored 21 points.
But at the same time, it's just like one of the most impossible things. So really, like when you go, you're like, okay, so on one play, you could have 6 different options for running the ball, and it's like you have 8 offensive linemen compared to the defense is 3. So like, it's I think they came prepared. Yeah. It's just like they just kind of get oversized and overmatched it a little bit, but they were able to solve it near the overtime periods and able to lock down when they needed to.
Right.
Offense, I don't know.
Yeah, that's my next point, right? Offensively, I would agree with you a little bit defensively. I think overall, obviously, I think people going into the season have to temper the expectations a little bit. And I think I blame this a little bit more on the media than others, is that people think that this Michigan team was like a Final Four team, like right off the bat. I don't look at this roster and I go, oh yeah, Final Four team. Unless they do it, right? That's kind of where I'm at with this team. I've been super negative about Michigan
I have 5 teams right now that I'm like
so much better.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like Ohio State is a better team.
They're my
way better team. You know what I mean? So. With that being said, the offense, though, we were going to see this Josh Gaddis offense. We're going to spread it out. We're going to do all the things that Shea Patterson likes to do. Shea overall has, I would say, at best looks average. I would say for the most part.
I would say average.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with him right now. Yeah. I thought I would agree with you. I was ready to come on this show and skewer him to death. But after rewatching some highlights, rewatching some of that, you go, the offensive line is atrocious. Mm-hmm. Couldn't stop anything. I mean, we couldn't pick up a blitz to save our lives, right? I thought the running game was okay, you know? Obviously, Donovan Peoples-Jones is not there. I think the lack, I mean, you're only throwing the ball 18 times. That's not, I'm sorry, but you need to throw the ball more. Yeah. And whether it's with Patterson or whoever, there's no threat of throwing the football right now.
Yeah,
zero threat.
I look at, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah,
I totally
like Charbonnet, I think before the overtime had 39 carries for like 93 yards. That's like a clip of like 3 yards a carry, barely. And that's not good enough. That does not win you football games against anybody in the Big Ten.
Yeah, the play calling's also very atrocious.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You're hitting this Jim Bob Cooter type offense where you're like, all right, we're 3rd and 13. We might as well just try to pick up first down with a halfback draw.
Right.
And you're just like, or you could pass them.
Yeah.
Like, because Army's defense, here's what happens is Army's defense is good enough to get stops, and then their offense will hold the ball for 9 minutes.
Forever. So you limit possession, and couple it with the fact that you turn the ball over 3 times in the first half.
Yeah.
You limit your possessions now where you don't have any, really. You know, so I mean,
you have 3 and you scored on the 3 that you actually had full drives on.
Right.
Basically.
Exactly. So I mean, I think you put that in perspective, right? And then you go with the basic play calls, because when we were talking about this right before we went on the show, it started out as, okay, man, this offense is gonna take a while to click because there's some intricacies to it. Now it's, wow, this looks really freaking basic, and there's so I think the Jim Bob Cooter comparison is dead on.
Yeah.
You know, you look at it last year, everyone's like, we know what they're running, and you go, oh, that's reassuring. You know, to think that the entire team knows exactly what we're doing.
All right.
Terrible.
So we have usually another guest on here, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle. Yeah.
And he texted me since he's not going to be here.
Yeah.
Due to reasons we can't say. He's not here, but he did message. He did watch the game, and he went through and gave me this big list that he wants me to go over on his behalf.
All right.
This is not my saying. This is on his behalf.
Let's clarify.
So I'm going to give you each point and tell me how you feel on each point. I guess.
Sure.
So he says Lavert Hill was the reason they won. How would you say about that?
Yes and no. The holding penalty was stupid. You didn't need it. You know, it was one of those things where that drive then results in a touchdown. You know, because they ran it right down your throat. So, but they also made the interception, like we were talking about before. The set up the touchdown. So I'd take plus and minus. I think he needs to be a hell of a lot better by the time they play Wisconsin, though. I'll tell you about that.
The first time I've seen the real Michigan defense was the last drive of the game.
Well, I mean, geez, here's the thing. At the time, now they're ranked 10th as of this recording now, but at the time, you're the 7th ranked team in the country. I don't care what defense you're supposed to see, you should have been able to they only have like 6 plays. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's a deadly 6 plays.
It is, for sure. Well, that's the part that kills me about Army, and that's why they're funny is, like, it's 4th and 4, and it's like, around a 35-yard line, going for it. Like, there's no craps given. They're just like, screw it. It doesn't matter. This is not our primary focus anyway.
It's like they're in like a video game where they're like,
screw it.
If we win or lose, like, we're not going to be ranked anyways, so let's
doesn't matter. And even if it does, none of us are going to the pros because we're all literally enlisted in the Army.
So he says, if Shea Patterson keeps doing what he's doing, they're going to get murdered by Wisconsin.
Yes, he's got to protect the ball better. I know you're talking about the one fumble where they had the read where it looked like Charbonnet should have been technically, but let's just assume it's both their fault. 1.5 fumbles, and you fumbled last week too. The protection of the football has to be at a premium. This is for the entire Michigan offense, not for Shea. But as much crap as I give Shea Patterson, and I am not a fan of his whatsoever, they have to throw the ball more. Yeah. They have to throw the ball more. There needs to be more concepts than running a 9 all the way down the field because, okay, that works great against Middle Tennessee. That was the only success they had in the passing game, was deep down the field, which is great. But if on a 3rd and 6 you can't pick up a 3rd and 6 on throwing the football unless it's a touchdown, there's a problem there. Your your offense becomes very one-dimensional, and any team, I don't care how bad the defense is, at some point it's going to go, okay, so they can't throw anything underneath. Awesome. Yep. You know?
And Charbonnet is balling out, probably the best player on the team.
Not based off yesterday's performance. I get that he scored, but just touchdowns, you can't put touchdowns in relation to how good someone played. Garrett Blunt had several touchdowns last year, but he was an awful running back. Just because you can score from a yard out. I mean, 30 carries at one point, averaging about 3 yards a carry. I mean, 30 carries for 93 yards, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Especially because in the first game he had 8 carries for 95
yards. Yeah, exactly. So obviously it's a different defense and what have you, but that's not a good clip, especially in college. Now, if Kerryon Johnson's averaging 3.5 yards a carry, on 24 carries, Lions are probably in a good shape to win against Arizona. But in this particular instance, no, you can't throw the ball 18 times a game and expect to be this dynamic, high-scoring offense. You can't work that way. Ohio State's throwing the ball more than that. You know what I mean? Oklahoma makes a living off of exclusively throwing the football. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And Shea can run the ball a little bit. McCaffrey can run the ball. Whoever's at quarterback, you have the threat of the run at all times. So limiting them to be like, not read option. Okay, that only works so much. You know what I mean? There's no smash mouth football to this, and I don't want fullback dives again. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But to be so one-dimensional like they were the past 2 weeks, it's extremely frustrating.
Yep, and then his offensive MVP is Ronnie Bell. Defensive MVP, obviously, Lavert Hill.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure. Why not, dude? If there's any MVP, it should be the freaking field goal kicker from Army because you can't hit a 50-yard field goal to win the game. Legitimately, in that last drive, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to lose and heads are going to roll, and we're never going to hear the end of it. Yeah. So at one point, it's like, okay, they won, great, but at the same time, it's like, oh, God, so scary. Let's talk about Michigan State for a second.
Let's do it.
They win big over Western. They came out
51-17.
Yeah, at one point I think it was 37-7, something like
that,
crazy. But here's what I will say though, is that Western had a couple chances in that first half to actually get this closer than it was. They missed a field goal. They went for it on a 4th down and didn't get it. I think they missed 2 field goals in the first half. At one point it could have been 21-14. Michigan State, and that was kind of like a turning point because Michigan State had the interception. But so I would say Western kind of left some points out there on Saturday. But
not 30. No.
I'm not saying that they would have won the game by any means. I'm just saying that there were some plays that I think Western left out there. That Michigan, I thought Western moved the ball pretty well, honestly, until they got to the red zone, and that's when everything kind of got closed in. Michigan State's offense, I think, looked really good. Western can't stop. A Little League team based off of that performance yesterday. Yeah. But I thought Lewerke looked better. Mm-hmm. Thought the run game looked good. I thought they were explosive on offense for the most part. I'm interested to see who do they play next week. Do we know who play?
I can look at it right now.
Because they're not on a bye, right? I know Michigan's on the bye next week.
No, so next week they got Arizona State at home, and then they go Northwestern.
Okay, so Arizona State, that's going to be a nice matchup. Herm Edwards is going to have those guys ready to play. I don't anticipate that kind of one-sidedness anymore.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see once we kind of get into Big Ten play how they look. I thought they had a bounce-back week. There's not a lot I can say wrong other than that defense, that negative 73 rushing yards that everyone's hanging their hat on. I think you understand now where we were coming from last week when we were like, okay, it's an impressive stat to throw out there, but you played a team who couldn't hike the ball. Yeah. So it's a little bit. You saw Western was able to actually move the ball.
Yeah, these games for me are more preseason games.
Yeah.
I feel like Army was more of a real test though because of how different everything is.
Right.
But for the most part, all these non-conference games, unless you're playing a ranked team, are kind of like Western and Mid-Tennessee State, or just let's get in the motions and let's get some game action because they don't get that game action.
Right.
And now once you hit that Big Ten play, once they start playing, Maryland out of nowhere is just balling out.
Yep.
You got Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin coming up for both teams.
For sure.
So now you're going to be like, all right, Wisconsin.
Turn it up now.
Dude, Wisconsin has scored 49 and 61 points and skunked out the teams that they played.
Yeah.
They're scary.
So, and Michigan obviously going to have the bye next week. So we had to get ready for it.
Well, Wisconsin's got a bye too.
Do they really?
They both got byes going into the game.
That's going to be a big game. Yeah. They'll both be fresh and ready to go. But like I said, I didn't have a problem with how Michigan State played. Any concerns for you? What's the one thing you want to see from Michigan to be, just because they have the bye, what's something you want to see coming out of this that you want to see cleaned up? Is it just the turnovers? Is it something defensively or a guy that you're looking at to be like, okay, they need to rise their game? What's a key for you going into the Wisconsin game 2 weeks from now that you hope you haven't seen yet that we can kind of turn and be, okay, this is what I want to see going into Wisconsin.
What I am hoping for
during Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a no turnover game would be awesome.
Yeah.
Knowing our luck, we'll have at least 1 or 2, but that's usually the average in football. But hopefully, at least less than 3 to 4 turnovers would be awesome.
Yeah.
And really interested to see how Donovan Peoples-Jones plays, because according to our insider that's here that knows just about everything about Michigan football for some reason, he says that Donovan Peoples should be a go for Wisconsin. He said it was going to be out for like 2 weeks in mid-Tennessee, so that comes up about Wisconsin time.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if he comes back in time, that's going to change the offense dramatically.
Right. Yeah. That wouldn't shock me. I think that would help him quite a bit. Obviously, last year we even saw Patterson really relying on Peoples-Jones quite a bit, coming into his own, just from everything, from the kick return perspective, from punts to being a true number 1 receiver. There's a lot of things there that I think Michigan can definitely clean up. The no turnovers. I want to see better. I want to see more consistency from the offensive line. You got to give your quarterbacks a chance. I don't care who's back there. I think they need to open up the playbook a little bit. I think they need to go, if they're going to go 4 wide, let's be 4 wide. Let's be versatile.
I do kind of think though that these first 2 games, as I say, they're kind of like preseason games. I do think it's like almost like
this much.
You're going to show like that much. Like, you don't want to go, all right, we're going to open up the entire playbook against Tennessee. Because then Wisconsin's going to go, oh, so that's everything you got.
So be ready for that. Yeah, be ready for that.
So now you're going to see, hopefully you see more motions and stuff. And even State, I mean, they were just doing basic slant patterns.
Oh my gosh, they ran the same play 3 times. Running
Darryl Stewart's just the fastest guy in the world, and Elijah Collins can just break tackles like a madman.
Right.
And that defense is super stout. So like, I think both teams are kind of just holding. I think everyone that's playing these non-conference teams are kind of just like holding back and just going, all right.
Unless we have to, let's just.
Yeah. Which I do think that last drive in overtime, Michigan went, okay, they went 4 wide or whatever, and they just started belting the ball because they're like, we have to try to score.
Right.
Which they scored the field goal and won the game. But
right, exactly. Yeah,
you did see a little more when they needed to.
Which teams look better to you? Which team has looked better to you? Based off of level of competition, obviously. And who has the edge going into week 3, week 4? Michigan.
I would say State looks a little better. I would say their offense in the first game, I was like,
that's rough.
It's rough. But then the second game, man, they just like went all out, and that defense is pretty legit. Like they swarmed to the ball and everything. But I will say that Michigan playing Army. Getting that experience from a different style.
Right.
Now, if anyone tries to run a read option or any kind of triple option play, they have that locked down. Where State, if you hit a team like Maryland, just all of a sudden goes, all right, we got triple option plays.
Right.
State goes, I don't know how to stop this right now because we're not ready for it.
Exactly.
Michigan's ready for it, so I think they're more versatile in like being able to stop different things.
Yeah.
But I think State right now, if I had to bet on a team to like who's gonna have a better record at the second, I'd probably say State does.
Right. I would agree with you. I think that Michigan State's defense in some ways reminds me just the methodology behind it, right, to New England's defense. And what I mean by that is, and especially watching this Western game, the Tulsa game I kind of have to put an asterisk next to because they're just god awful.
Yeah.
But Western is a team that has at times shown flashes of being somewhat competitive usually, right? Where Western was able to move the football. It wasn't like there was 3 and out. They were moving the football. They had some big plays. They were able to put some points up. So, but when they got in the red zone area between like the 35-yard line of Michigan State and the end zone, that's where Michigan State's defense, you see it at its best, right? Yeah. They operate in a closed, confined space. They play man coverage really, really well. They use the sidelines to their advantage. They call timely blitzes. Some things like that where you really see the intricacies of this defense when they're in a confined space, backs up against the wall. They're bending but not breaking and forcing teams into long field goal attempts rather than giving them clean shots at the end zone.
Yeah. Well, I also think you saw it with Michigan against Army, where like Army would get there, and even though they're just a run-style team, so it's a lot harder, they were kind of like, they only scored 14 going like after the game. They went to overtime and scored another one, but they only scored 14. Like they only scored twice. Right. Like they had 8 drives. So like they did stop that option. Yeah, for way better than I thought they would. So.
Yeah, no, I
guess we'll see.
Yeah, right. I think that you're looking at it. Obviously, it's way too early to be like, oh yeah, Big Ten champions, Michigan State right away or whatever. You know, you obviously can't do that. It would be Ohio State.
That's probably Ohio State.
Right, but so I mean, you look at it though. I do think there's a lot of room for improvement from both squads. I think Michigan State has got to be a lot happier. I did think Michigan State opened it up a little bit more than Michigan has so far. I think it's still going to be one hell of a contest as they go into, they don't play till later in the year this year too, which is a little bit different than normal. Usually
they play like third to last week.
Yeah, which is weird. Which is usually, which in some ways I'm hoping that kind of helps Michigan kind of get ramped up for those last couple bits of games there where you got Michigan State, then you got a week, then you got Ohio State right after. So like you're kind of getting a playoff bowl game type mode where. Yeah. Pedal to the metal.
Yeah, and right before that you hit Notre Dame and Penn State back to back. So
no kidding.
You have a tough stretch, but at the same time, if you can get through that stretch, then if you do, if this Michigan team does end up going an 11-1, 12-0 pace, having that big stretch of playoff games late means okay, now I can be ready for a Big Ten championship game and even a Final Four appearance if you get that far.
If you had to think, do you think that either team has shown the propensity to knock off Ohio State for a Big Ten title? Just overall play, I get it. Ohio State hasn't played anybody either, obviously, but just looking at performances, evaluating just overall, like man, the feel of this just does not look like watching that Michigan game. I just like this whole feels Appalachian State-y.
I think there's bits and pieces from both. I think if you could combine both teams and pieces, I think you could. Like, there's all right, Michigan State's defense, especially on the goal line, like you said. I don't think Ohio State is going to be able to. I think they're going to have to get longer touchdowns. I don't think they can score from the 1 yard line very easily against State. And then Michigan, if they can cut down their turnovers, I do think if they start spreading it out more and start passing it around, I do think that they can air raid around Ohio State a little bit. But I don't think Michigan State's offense or Michigan's defense at the moment is strong enough. Ohio State's just a strong force on both.
Yeah, and they're so fast. That's the biggest thing. They're just fast.
Yeah, and Michigan State have one side that I'm yes, I feel confident that they could go up against, but the other side is so much weaker. I feel like that they kind of get that side trumps the other side by so much that they probably can't.
Yeah, for sure.
So at the moment, no. But
we're so early. We're so early. Right.
Give it 3 or 4
that's
more
why
weeks.
That's why this kind of these games are fun, right? Is to kind of go in there and say, okay. All right, this is base fundamentals. All right, when we step it up, what's going to happen? You know, so that Wisconsin game obviously is going to be huge for Michigan. I think the Arizona State game is a trap game for Michigan State. It really could be in a lot of ways. Where you go in there, you're at home, right? They're at State. So they're innings Lansing, but good coach. Not a great coach, but a good coach. Keeps them well disciplined. Arizona State had a pretty good year last year, considering that they're Arizona State. So. And they're not a pushover type of program. I put it that way. The 6-7 win team, definitely a little higher up on the pedestal than I would say Western or Tulsa or something like that. But all right, that's going to be it for part 1 of this week's episode. After the break, we're going to hit the NFL contract extension. We're going to talk Bears-Packers, and we're talking Chris Jericho, his legacy, and maybe some other good wrestling stuff. After the break, stick around. Hello, this is your I'm Always Right 24/7 champion, the mouth of Michigan, Rob Mendyka. Just reminding you that if you want to be a sponsor on the show or be a part of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast family, make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and send us your submissions for topics at I'mAlwaysRightPC.com. Now here's part 2 of this week's episode. All right, and welcome back to part dose of episode 41. Oh, TikTok, man, episode 50 coming up pretty soon.
What are we doing for episode 50?
Providing the same great content we do every single week. Duh. Come on.
What am I asking, bro?
Exactly. How dare you? Everybody knows that. Let's get into it. All right, let's go. Let's talk about these NFL contracts for example. Like I said, we're going to talk Antonio Brown next week because that requires more time than we have allotted for this episode because that's a treat. Let's talk about it, though. Zeke Elliott gets an extension, highest paid running back in the league. Jared Goff, now highest paid wide receiver. Quarterback in the league. Tyreek Hill just got paid. Julio Jones just got paid this morning. Lots of big deals coming up. Lots of guaranteed money. You're starting to see the tipping point where it's more guaranteed money to contract value, if you're noticing that now, where, before it was, okay, you're going to be paid $100 million, $40 million is guaranteed. Now it's, okay, $100 million, okay, maybe it's $60 million guaranteed, So there's those tipping points there. Best value of the contract, though. Let's just go with those 4 guys. I know other people have done it, but between Zeke, Goff, Tyreek Hill, and now Julio, all kind of setting their own standard as the new highest paid guy. Tyreek's like, what the hell? And then Julio's like, haha. So, but all got massive extensions, right? Julio and Tyreek got through 3 years. Goff got 4. And then Zeke got his extension as well. best contract value based off of the money, the position that they play, and their impact for their respective teams. It's a three-pronged attack I'm throwing at you here.
Boy.
Which one do you think is the one that if you had to take one of these contracts on, that's the one you're most comfortable taking on?
I would take...
Not if you're the Lions, just in general.
Yeah. I would probably take on Zeke's contract. I was going to say Goff's. I actually really like Goff, but his is a lot, and I don't know if I could do that, especially because...
Such a phony. It's fine.
I don't know, I think it's fine. But Zeke, for his level of ability at the running back position, he's probably, if you want to argue, the best.
Yeah.
At least top 3, he's easily in that group. So
I think he's the best running back in the league.
Yeah,
right now. I think it's him and Le'Veon at 1 and 2.
Actually, yeah, that's what I would say.
I would say Gurley over the last 2 years has been better, but Gurley's is already on the downslope, and you can see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I would say Zeke's because I'll be honest, I don't 100% believe in Dak.
Yeah.
And I think Amari Cooper, if he got his, I think that's another good get.
Right.
I feel like Dallas, there's like this thing I've always thought about, like why NFL teams don't do this. And if you just have like someone like a Zeke and Amari Cooper on your team, why don't you just like always have like a rookie / 1 or 2 year quarterback that you pay little money to, and then just like rejuvenate, so you don't have to give them that.
I think you subscribe to the theory a lot of Lions fans do, or why would you want to pay Stafford all this money when you can allocate those money to go sign other people to make the overall team better? What I've found in that scenario, right, where it's now more of a passing league than ever before, I think Dallas is an anomaly football team, honestly. Similar to the Rams were in a lot of ways, where they don't throw the ball as much as other teams do. Pittsburgh, you can say, is another one where Le'Veon Bell was the bell cow, where usually, and especially now, the league is transcending more towards passing and high explosive offenses with that, it's an inside zone. You know what I mean? Where I feel like if you don't have a quarterback who you think in those moments where, like if you play the Lions, for instance, we all expect the Lions to be able to stop the run pretty effectively. Okay, I need a quarterback now who can make those throws, and you know what I mean? So I think that's where Dallas kind of falls in love with Dak, where if you need him to, more than half of the time, he makes those throws.
But
right?
I do think there are other, and this is like a very specific Dallas example.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt.
It's not like a overall example, just for Dallas in general. I just kind of look at it and I go, but can't you find another quarterback that you could, because Dak, you know what I mean? Like I feel like not the Lions, because the Lions usually don't have that running game, or don't have that, or most teams don't have that.
Right.
But like if you're in Dallas' situation, why would you want to really pay Dak that much?
No, especially the money he wants.
Exactly, like he wants that 35 plus
40 million,
40 million,
exactly.
where you could just get you could draft a higher second, third round caliber guy who can go in. You're paying like $4 million a year or whatever to, so you can pay Zeke, so you can pay Amari, so these guys can kind of
now all of your offensive line, college guys.
Exactly. So now you have all these guys that like can elevate your team, and you can just have a quarterback that you can 3rd and 3. I need you to make this one play for me, and that's all I need from you. And then Zeke can do all the rest. You just need that one play. So that's why I was in that instance. I think
in that siloed, for sure, no doubt about it. And I think that's what I think you're right. I think Zeke, out of the 4 guys that we're specifically talking about, he's the one that makes everything go. Without Zeke, that Dallas offense is weak.
Yes.
Straight up. It's not good enough. I'm sorry. You don't have Cole Beasley anymore as your safety blanket. Terrence Williams is okay, I guess. But Amari Cooper is good. I wouldn't say he's great. I wouldn't call him a top 5 wide receiver.
No.
You know what I mean? So I don't look at Amari Cooper as, well, that's my guy. He's going to change my entire offense. It doesn't work like that. It didn't work in Oakland, really. Yeah. So I don't think I think he got a fresh taste of something in Dallas. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm playing man coverage because they got 9 guys in the box. This is awesome. I can beat man coverage. Yeah. I think Goff is still benefiting a little bit from the McVay experiment with Gurley being there. I think this will be a year where you know whether or not Jared Goff's an actual true quarterback or not. Like,
I'll give you this though. I think the game that won him this contract was that Chiefs game last year.
No doubt.
Nothing in the playoffs I don't think did it. No. But that Chiefs game when he outplayed Patrick Mahomes, Sean McVay went, we don't have anyone else that can do that.
Right.
Like he's like, if we don't sign him,
no doubt,
there's not gonna be another guy who could put up that many points with him. So I do think that's the game that won him that contract. If he didn't have that performance in that game, I don't know if he gets that extension this year.
Yeah. I mean, they did go to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think...
based off because he had a bad Super Bowl performance.
Yeah, of course.
He didn't even have that great of a playoff run in general either.
No.
So that's why I'm like, if you just base off that, they won games, but like that Chiefs game was like, he gets that extension.
No doubt about that, right? And I get it, he's number 1 overall pick and all that good stuff, but for sure, no doubt about it. All right, what's the worst contract?
Out of the 4?
Out of the 4, right? So Tyreek got like 3 years, $66 million, something like that. I know Julio hit something right around that, a little above that.
Yeah,
3-year deal. It's a 3-year deal. Goff got the 4-year, $134 million. Zeke got like $100 million or $90 million, 60 of it guaranteed, I think is the number. So what's the worst contract? One where you're like, okay, we got to pay it, but man, that's really like the first one on my book is that.
Yeah, it's hard because all those guys are so elite. That
they're like, so good.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's. I say worst contract, but you're all, at the same time you're like, all right.
It's hard because there's pros and cons. Like besides Zeke, I think there's pros and cons to all of them. Goff, you don't really but you don't
can make
really
You can make an argument that he's been helped and hidden.
Yeah,
right.
I can make that argument.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill is like, he's like the safety blanket for Patrick Mahomes.
Right. But there's also the off-field issues that he's been suspended.
Exactly. And Julio to me is a top 3 receiver, but at the same time he's injury prone, where he gets that. So I would say if I had to pick one, I guess I think you overpaid for Julio Jones, but at the same time you almost can't lose any of those 4 guys. Like if you're like, oh, we're not going to pay you, and then he leaves, that's like...
No, you're stupid.
Yeah, you're gone.
Everyone else looks at you and go, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, right. So I don't...
And then New England signs
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Right?
I hate that. So I don't think there's really like a bad... Like I think it's one of those like you had to do it to all 4 of those guys. But I'd say there was like a worse one. I guess Julio because of his... Like if he doesn't play all 16 games, then you're not getting the worth of that contract.
No doubt. And I think there's even drawbacks to Zeke too. He's a running back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 25, 26 years old, the amount of carries he has, does he see the end of that contract? Because once they hit 28, 29, 30, you see that performance start to drip. So it's obviously a little bit. All right, let's talk Packers-Bears for a minute here.
My favorite game.
The only reason why we're going to talk about this game in particular is 2 reasons. Number one, how it affects our Detroit Lions. As obviously, if you listen to the show, you know we're Detroit sports-centric. But also, it was the opening game of the year, 100th season of the NFL, right? Lots of, all right, cool stuff, Aaron Rodgers, whatever.
I loved it.
Yeah, it was a rough go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I thought the offensive game was extremely sloppy. I thought there was a lot of sloppy play happening.
Yes.
I thought they made both defenses look better than they were in a lot of regards, especially the Packers. I think Mitch Trubisky made the Packers defense look like it was a top 5 defense.
Okay.
So I didn't think that anything did where I was like, wow, this Green Bay defense is locked out. I'm like, wow, Trubisky. That there's a GIF out there, right? We were talking about where the seas parted and there's a wide open Chicago defender staring him in the face, and Trubisky's like, "Nah, I want to go over here instead." And completely look the opposite direction. What were your impressions of the Bears and Packers opening night? Just briefly, and then after that we'll talk about the Lions here in a second.
Okay. Well, I think the Bears defense is still very elite.
No doubt. I do think they're legit. I do think they're legit. No doubt.
And I do think the Packers offense not playing the Bears defense is going to be
fine,
very good.
I hope not.
I saw there's a lot of good spurts in it. It was just like Aaron Rodgers literally had maybe 0.5 seconds to do anything in the pocket because
he holds the ball longer than any quarterback in the league. So.
Yeah, but like Khalil Mack literally would break 3 guys, and at that second, if you have 3 linemen trying to block somebody and you still can't, then at that point you're sacked in 6 seconds.
No doubt, for sure.
So,
absolutely.
I do think when they're playing defenses that are lesser than the Bears, I do think you're going to see more from that offense. I also, inversely, would say that Mitch Trubisky has a very low ceiling, in my opinion, at the moment. And
at the moment, ever. Who's counting?
Maybe. Maybe he'll come out to be something, but at the second,
Lord.
I think he lost him that game.
Yeah. For sure.
Pretty easily.
I think that play call. I think Matt Nagy even acknowledged it where he goes. I think we got too cute with it a little bit. Like Tariq Cohen not touching the ball enough. He's the best running back on your team. Mm-hmm. Well, how is he not getting the football? Right. I get it. Trey Burton was out, but at the same time, the level of the amount of 3 and outs in this game was ridiculous. Yeah. I think they both had like 8 at one point. Like, that is crazy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, and Trubisky's inability to make the decision to like, okay, when to keep it and when to throw. Yeah. I thought like it looked to me like a quarterback who's never run under center and was trying every instinct possible to not run the football. You know what I mean? Like, he looked uncomfortable in the pocket and wanted to just stand back there and be like, no, I am a pocket passer now. I am going to throw the football from the pocket, and we're going to move the ball down the field. And then the times he's like, no, screw it, I'm going to run it, was the wrong time to do it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I just think he was completely, like, discombobulated is the best word I can say for that.
Yeah, I would also agree with that.
You know what I mean? I just looked like he looked uncomfortable all night. Not even necessarily due to pressure. I just think that, like, mentally he was like, all right, they're trying to get me to be more in the pocket, roll, make a read, and throw the football rather than rely upon my legs, my athleticism to bail me out in situations. But I think to the Bears, to the Bears coaching staff, I would say, yeah, but that's kind of what you drafted him too. He was an athletic guy. He's not the most accurate quarterback in the world. He wasn't the most accurate in North Carolina. He went to North Carolina. He wasn't a great quarterback at North Carolina. You drafted him for his physical traits and his quote-unquote ceiling at the time to develop him. He's since been okay.
Hit his ceiling.
Yeah, right. I think
to be honest,
I think 25 touchdowns is his ceiling.
Yeah.
Straight up. I think that's his ceiling. Where, like, he had that last year. I think he went 24 and 12 touchdown interception.
Yeah, something like that.
That's probably where he's going to be career-wise. That's the thing about the Bears that always kills me. They always wind up putting together these great defenses, right? And then they always oh, by the way, we're just never going to invest in the quarterback. Yeah. Like, when they never make the right quarterback call. And the one time they even got close with McMahon, they won a championship. So it's like, you look at a couple years ago when they played against the Colts in the Super Bowl. Rex Grossman is your starting quarterback. Or Kyle Orton. Or
Jay Cutler.
Or they trade for Jay Cutler. It's just like you're just asking for mediocrity. It's like I think they were hoping that Nagy was going to be the guy there. Okay, we're not going to put a lot of assets in the offense, so we're just going to hope that you can scheme it where it just works. But without Allen Robinson,
I do think that offense doesn't have enough to be a top team anymore.
No, if that defense is one bad day, you're screwed. Because that offense will not keep up. It will not. It benefited last year from turnovers, being set up in good field position, and the fact that you never knew what Nagy was going to do because he never called plays. So there's a lot of what now. This game, does this do anything for you as far as a Lions fan go? And saying, okay, does that give you more or less hope on as far as your thoughts on the Lions being able to win the division? Obviously, we have not seen the Lions play as of this recording. I must preface that.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
But, like, if we go out and, crap the bed, then obviously I'm going to come on the show next week and blow a gasket. But until that happens, right now, we don't know. So what does that do? Just, let's say Friday night, right? You're thinking about it after they play. What did you see to make you think, yes, okay, this makes me happy that the Bears struggling, the Packers are struggling? Or does that make you more concerned that, wow, both these defenses lock down these offenses, I don't know what we're going to do offensively.
Looking at it, it's funny because I took half and half. I was like, okay, so this Bears defense scares the crap out of me, but their offense, I'm like, I can live and die with. Like, I can have faith that the defense can stop them. And conversely, I didn't think that defense was anything special. They just kind of did like a Patriot-style thing where they're like, all right, Trubisky, try to beat us. And if Trubisky can make
Trubisky play quarterback.
Yeah, and Trubisky can play quarterback and start beating us, then we're not going to beat them. And it just turned out that, like, Trubisky just didn't have it in him that game.
Right.
But their offense, to me, I saw spurts, even against that Bears great defense, of I could still make plays, and they scored a touchdown when they really shouldn't have.
Right.
Like, they were just driving down the field that one drive,
right.
And the Bears were getting in there every single play, and they were just making, like, some miraculous throws to get out of it to score that touchdown.
Right.
And I'm like, if you can do that against, like, Khalil Mack pass rush, I don't know. I mean, I would like to say that we have a great pass rush to get to that, but I don't. Yeah, but we haven't seen it, and we don't have a Khalil Mack that we know for sure can get in there. We're assuming Trey Flowers and stuff can get in there, but we haven't seen it yet. Yeah. So if we don't have that, and Aaron Rodgers can sit for 6 seconds, I'm scared.
One thing I will say about that is, and this is our last point on the topic before we talk Chris Jericho, is the fact that if Aaron Rodgers continues to hold the ball and play like he did on Thursday, he won't last the whole season. He took way too many hits.
Yeah.
He took way too many hits on Thursday. He did. And I get it. It's against Chicago. That pass rush is fierce. No doubt. Yeah. But Minnesota's pass rush is good, right? Ours is projected to be pretty darn okay. You know what I mean? So you look at it and you look at just the teams he's going to play twice a year. You're going to play, some teams that have some decent pass rushes out there. You can't live and die, especially the second half of the season when you're on the road almost the whole half of the second half of the season. Yeah, because
you start the season
like six home games. And, so
7.
Yeah, right. So, with that being said, he's got to change the way he plays a little bit. And I think that's on the floor to kind of all right, maybe we do some more quick passing routes, get people open faster. And I also him to understand I'm not 28 anymore. I've been hurt the past 2 years, and I need to stay healthy because if I'm not healthy, this team is garbage.
I think they realized about a quarter of the way through that the only way they were going to score is on a deep play. That they did.
Oh, for sure.
Where they got that lucky deep throw, and then they got another pretty big one to Jimmy Graham. That's how they scored. And that was really the only score of the game. Right. And I think that's where they were like, we're not going to be able to dink and dunk them because I'm going to get killed because they get there so quick that we're going to have to
take a shot.
Take
roll
shots.
Out, take a shot, and hope it works.
What I'm hoping is the Lions have that pass rush so they can get in there. But that's my fear is that, okay, now a team that doesn't have as good as a pass rush as a Khalil Mack coming around the edge, now he can actually sit there confidently for seconds to throw those deep passes accurately. Now I'm worried. Right. Now it's all on the defensive backs.
Right. So let's see. I would say Patricia last year shut them down pretty well. Obviously different offensive scheme. But Rodgers was healthy the first week 5. And they shut him down for 2.5, 3 quarters of that game. So, be interested to see. Like I said, we haven't seen the Lions play yet, so hopefully we come out here next week.
And we're happy
as Jaybird. All right, let's talk now at the end of the show. Let's talk the squared circle. Let's talk about Chris Jericho. We talked about All Out last week with AEW and all that good stuff, and Chris Jericho is the brand new AEW World Champion. Yes. There was some backlash though after the show. I was noticing within the wrestling community where some people were pretty happy, and there was a lot of people that were unhappy with Jericho winning the championship. And I would see a lot of people saying it was too predictable. I would say people would say that it was they compare it to Brock Lesnar holding the title, and you got this 48-year-old guy as your first champion. You're not giving the young guys a chance. I thought this is what AEW was supposed to be about. Yada yada yada. What's your response? Because we were both happy that Jericho won the title. So what's your response to those people saying that it was the wrong move to give it to Jericho as the first AEW champion?
I would just say that you have to look at it as you're trying to build the brand up because not everyone knows, if you have people like Kyle, for instance, and you don't really know, but you might know of the name Chris Jericho, and he's the champion. Those are the people that you're trying to pull in. Is those people that go, wait, I remember Chris Jericho back
when I was
8, and he was Intercontinental Champion that one time, and he was really funny on the mic, and I remember that guy, and now he's a champion over there. Okay, maybe I'll go tune in and see what they're doing now. Exactly. That's the. I don't think he'll be I think he should be champion for a little bit. I really don't think he'll be champion for that long though.
No, I think it's not going to be. It's not going to be a year long. Right?
No, I know, but
I don't think it'll be 6 months.
No, I think it's going to be about 3 months, and I think the next guy will probably be like a Kenny Omega, who's actually going to be a superstar that can hold it and have 5-star matches every single time. Or Cody, or Pac, or whatever. You gotta give it to one of these guys. The younger can put on great matches. Not saying Jericho can't, but I think this is just you're building the company up, and you need that champion to go, I remember him. Yes, that's that. That's that guy.
That is exactly right. You have to do some compare and contrast here a little bit with the guys in this match. Adam Page, a guy, he's never held a major singles title in any company he's worked for, right? Ring of Honor, New Japan, he has not done it, right? Yeah. He was a 6-man tag champion in Ring of Honor, that doesn't even count. So he's never held a major singles championship, right? He is being positioned already as a top babyface in AEW, right? That was a goal that it's been known forever.
Yeah.
But to have a guy who is unknown generally as a top star that you were trying to establish as a top star, you were asking a championship that's never been held by anybody, that has no lineage, has no history, has nothing, to make a guy, but the title itself has not been made yet. You know what I mean? Having Chris Jericho, a former world champion, the first ever undisputed champion, former WCW champion, WWE champion, the most Intercontinental title reigns, the first guy to hold the IWGP Intercontinental and WWE Intercontinental title at the same time. All these things that he's accomplished, he's a Hall of Famer, And he is the guy you want to be your champion. Yeah. It's not a long-term thing, people. I think people thought that, okay, they're going to give it to Jericho, he's going to ride with it for a year and a half, and it's going to get stupid. Yeah. I don't think that's the case. I'm right there with you. I think it's a 3-month intermediate placeholder. Let's get on TV with a heel as our champion, right? And let's have some good matches. Let's establish some talent. And 2, this only helps Adam Page. This only helps him. Because if Adam Page becomes champion, where do you go?
Yeah.
What do you do after that? You're gonna have a big celebration? Great. I have no idea who this guy is. Well, I have no vested interest in this guy, but he's the champion now. Cool, I guess. Like, I don't know who you are though, so why do I care about your story? Oh, you've wrestled for 12 years. I didn't know that. I have no idea who the hell you are. Where Jericho can come out, I kind of know. Or even if I don't know, he comes out and I'm like, you're an a-hole. I want you to lose. Who can I get behind? Oh, look at this young guy. I want this guy. He's my guy. And you see that journey take place. Then he becomes champion. Then you're invested. Then you have a relationship with these guys, and you go, yes, my guy won. Yeah. That's super important. Like I said, back to Jericho though, with the, he's AEW champion, WWE champion, WCW champion, he's held titles everywhere he's been. Has he officially entered the GOAT status? Now, wrestling's hard because there's so many different generations and different eras. Yeah. So I don't think there's true where you can go, like greatest ever. I'm going to ask you that in a second anyway, but so I know that. But but there's a GOAT level, I think, that when people say certain people's names, they go greatest they've ever seen in some sort of category, whether it's Shawn Michaels, whether it's Bret from a technical level, whether it's Hogan from a money standpoint, whether it's Cena for longevity, or it's Stone Cold where he changed the business and was the guy in a transition era between straight red, white, blue wrestling ropes to like the Attitude Era, whether it was Flair and the NWA, all these guys, Taker, whatever. Is he entered that level where you can hold Jericho and say a Shawn or an Austin and be like, their accolades and their impact on the business is comparable?
I actually do agree with that, and I think it's going to be more prevalent later. Like, give it 10 years when he's done. Then you're going to go, wow. Man, remember Shawn and Jericho and Bro? Like, that's going to be in the rotational 10 guys that you would say through it. I do think he is in that tier, but I think he's in a lower part of that tier.
No doubt.
And just a preference, he wouldn't be on like my Mount Rushmore of like 4 or 5 greatest ever, but I think he would be in like a top 12 tier.
Right, because you look at it, there's so many guys that you just go, oh my gosh, he was so awesome. For whatever reason. Whether it's Hogan, Flair, you got The Rock, you got Stone Cold, you got Shawn and Bret in the mid-90s, you got whoever. You got Undertaker for obvious reasons. All these guys, Bruno Sammartino from way back in the day. You've got all these guys where you go, in their era, there was nobody. There was nobody bigger than Cena for like 10 years. There was nobody even close to John Cena. Whether we liked it or not didn't matter. So I agree with you that I don't think he's like the tippy top where like greatest of all time. Oh, Chris Jericho. That's not where I'm at. But the ability to transcend eras, the ability to have risen to the top of every company he worked for, the ability to change his persona and change the way he does things, change the way he wrestles, all his promos, everything, whether he was a good guy or a bad guy. I mean, this run that he's had, he's one of the hottest superstars ever, and he's 48. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't happen like that anymore, And I think people don't understand. He's been around so long, people kind of take that for granted. So I think you're absolutely on the money when you say, when he's done, you'll understand the impact of Chris Jericho more than right now.
I would say in a category, he's probably on a Mount Rushmore of people on the mic.
Oh yeah,
like being able to promote a match.
No doubt.
I think I would trust him over. Not over maybe like him, Cena, and like The Rock on a mic. I'm like, those are probably my guys. I'm like, on a mic. I would totally believe it.
All right, so we both kind of agree that he's probably not the greatest of all time. And even though I said it's hard to do this because wrestling is so generationally different from era to era, but who's your number one? If you had to pick one,
I didn't know we were doing
who's your number one guy to end the show? And it's all subjective, right? So I can't disagree or agree with you. But who is your number one? Not your favorite, because like my favorite's Bret Hart, right? I am a diehard Bret Hart fan. If anybody knows me, who knows I like wrestling, knows that Bret Hart is my guy. I got posters everywhere of him in here. But who's your number one greatest of all time? I have one I think is going to shock you a little bit. So
I have one that might shock you.
Go ahead. As we end the show.
I don't know if I truly believe he would be my number one.
Not your favorite, just like overall, like you're like, every time. He was always awesome for whatever reason.
I would go John Cena.
Really?
Personally.
Really? Wow.
What you're gonna say?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I was not. I was close.
It was either him or Flair for me.
Okay.
And it's like 1A, 1B.
Okay.
But I do think Cena for me has the influence of when I started watching like
Absolutely.
2008.
That's part of it.
That's
right?
like he was there when I first started in 2008,
right.
and then he's been there through basically the whole time I was like live watching wrestling. Obviously I've gone back and watched stuff, but like live I'm like Cena was always the guy.
Yes.
He could be in that match with CM Punk when CM Punk left the company, quote unquote,
right.
and like one of the best matches they've ever had.
Always when he had to deliver the match, deliver.
Yeah, he was always like whenever they're like we don't have anything else, we'll put Cena in that match and he will go on the mic and make it promoted to be the best
me want
match.
to watch it.
Like he could go up against Reigns and you go Cena and Reigns, and then they had that one feud for 20 minutes and you're like, I'm so invested.
Right.
And it's because of Cena's mic work.
Exactly.
And then the in-ring ability.
No doubt.
I think he's probably my number one.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go. I have a conundrum, right? Because I want to I just want to say it's Bret because he's my favorite.
That was my
I wouldn't say tippy top, like top of the mountain, right? I'm gonna say the Undertaker.
Okay.
And here's why I say The Undertaker. It's not necessarily due to the in-ring work all the time, because he was straddled with the gimmick where he's not supposed to fall over and do all these things. The athleticism, the longevity, the greatest character ever in the history of wrestling is The Undertaker. Everybody knows who The Undertaker is.
Yeah.
Everybody knows two people, no matter 3, 4. Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker. Those are the 4 people that you can ask anybody for the most part, and people would even know who The Undertaker is if they hear the music. They hear the gong, they go, "That's that."
I would argue Cena would be a 5th.
So good call, right?
Because you could go Cena, and everyone knows who Cena's too. Those are 5.
Yeah, the longevity, the ability to make me care about personal angles and non-personal, the different personas he's came in with. Everything. I think he is the most iconic character the WWE's ever had. The longest he's ever been there, and he's always been on top. Since 91 to 2019, he is on top of the card no matter what. Yeah. And that is the mark of a true icon. Icon. Absolutely 100%. All right. That's going to be it for episode 41 of the I'm Always Right Sports podcast. Remember, next week, Antonio Brown stuff and a whole bunch of great more content for the Merc Zone on the Mouth of Michigan. And we will see you guys, as always, next time.